So, we're going to talk about the human origins. Now, this is a really interesting topic for me because when I was teaching in LA, for 3 years I worked at a charter school, and it was in a pretty tough neighborhood. But there was a group of kids, and I'm not condemning this or whatever. They had strong beliefs, and one day one of the students came up to me and said, "Mr. D, um, my pastor has a question for you." And I said, "Okay." It's like, "Do you believe in evolution?" And I said, "Well, to be honest with you, I believe in uh, microevolution." I said, "The whole macroevolution thing sometimes is kind of maybe larger than my pay scale or my brain can handle, but yeah, I do." And he said something to the effect that, "I guess your cousin is a monkey." Hmm. First off, um, we have a common ancestor with the great apes, right? So that's what evolution kind of teaches. So, so my biological cousin, like my cousin Artie, would not be a monkey, right? First off, he'd be a great ape, and we're all primates. But it really led to a really interesting lesson. So what I set up was it was a couple of weeks where I divided the class into three. The students had to pick a side, creation or evolution, and then they, whatever side they chose, they had to actually study the other side and then present their argument in defense of the other side. So if you believed in creationism, I made sure you studied evolution and you had to defend it. And if you believed in evolution, you had to study creationism and try to defend it. You didn't defend it as yourself, you defended it as a character who would come to a school board meeting. And then the class was divided into three: parents who, or people who wanted creationism taught in class, people who wanted just evolution, and then the school board. And we had some fantastic debates. It was actually pretty amazing. And it lasted about 3 days. Um, so I'm pretty open with people in the classroom on how I feel. You know, I practice a faith and I teach biology. So in California, there was actually a thought of teaching creationism in school when I was there, and I was approached by my principal. And to me, I said it would be pretty easy to teach. I would just say everything I taught you about evolution, God did it. All right. So again, I'm not promoting any type of religion. I'm just I want to present both sides. And I have a teacher friend in California, Will Roosh is his name. He belongs to a group called the Heterodoxy Academy, and that's really what it's all about. So this isn't about presenting both sides. This is presenting something I found interesting on human origins, and I just wanted to share it with you. Who knows if I'm going to get hate mail for this, but we'll find out. So here's what I found out, which was really cool. All right, so if you look at these boxes right here, 1, 2, and 3, right? They're showing our chromosomes. They're actually showing chromosome, our chromosome 1, our chromosome 2 is here, and our chromosome 3 is here. Where this would be actually our chromosome 4. Here's, and I don't know the order, I believe it's chimpanzees, gorillas, and orangutans. So our chromosome 2, it was discovered, if you look right here, is a fused chromosome of chimpanzees chromosome, or our common ancestors chromosome 2. So here's what chimps look like, here's what gorillas look like, and here's what orangutans look like. So this is their chromosome 2 and 3, 2 and 3, 2 and 3. This is our our chromosome 3, their chromosome 4. I hope you could follow that. So we all have very similar chromosomes 1. Here's our chromosome 2. Here's our chromosome 3. Here's their 2 and 3. Here's gorillas 2 and 3. And here's orangutans 2 and 3. So we have 46 pairs of chromosomes. Our ancestors, I believe, because our great apes, have 48 pair of chromosomes. Now, did early man have 46 pairs of chromosomes and it broke and became 48 pairs of chromosomes from our chimpanzees, gorillas, and orangutans? Or did ours fuse, theirs fuse, and now we have 46? I would say it was the latter, because usually you advance in evolution, but who knows? I've been trying to reach out for evolutionists to kind of talk about this. So if there's any evolutionists out there, please let me know. I'd love to interview you on this alone. So here's some examples, right? We share 50% of our DNA with banana, as they say. The one thing that we all have in common, which is why we all know we have a common ancestor, is the one thing all living things have in common is DNA. But this map down here kind of shows where the break happened, and were there humans with 48 pairs of chromosomes? If so, these two humans couldn't breed. Right? So does that make sense? It kind of came along, and then there was the fusion of the chromosomes. Once you had humans with 46 chromosomes, they could no longer breed with their distant cousins. Here's just another example of what it looks like. And it talks about the fusion. So here's our second chromosome. So according to this, pieces of our common ancestors 2A and B came together. So that would be their 2 and their 3, and then pieces of 9 possibly fused in there. Wild, right? Here's just another picture. Now I have footnotes here because these footnotes are really important. Here's just another picture of our karyotype right here. So again, this shows 23 pair, but if you look there, this is their 2 and 3, 2 and 3, 2 and 3. And obviously this is male. And this is all, the reason that there's 4 in here, it's not that it's polyploidy. It goes human, chimp, gorilla, orangutan. Here's where the fusion supposedly took place. These are the scientists, Eunice and Prashka. I guess I just butchered that one. This has been out there since 1982. Here's the original article that it came from. All right, so this is where it gets interesting for me as a teacher. So here's the science. You could read it, you could believe it, you could not want to believe it. It's up to you. Here's the science. They kind of showed that it's happening. And here's where it's fun for me, where it really, really gets fun. Because you know me, right? Sometimes I like to stir the pot a little bit. So you have different sides, the evolution side, the creationism side. And creationism, just so you know, is crazy broad. We're going to leave it at that. Here's an article that I found. It says, this picture has creation is terrified. Well, that's the picture that I just showed you. This was in Mother Jones News. Here's a Apologetics Press, which is a creationist website. And they actually use this picture that they're supposed to be terrified of to show the existence of a creator, which I found both fascinating. And here's another thing, just so you know, these people aren't crazy, right? If you look, Some of them have degrees in apologetics and stuff, but this dude, nuclear engineering, worked for NASA, right? Went to MIT, astrophysics, studied distant galaxies, emissions from distant galaxies. So, it's, and this guy has a PhD in thermal science. Um, Pretty smart folks. I hope you agree. And here's the guy who wrote the article, Chris Mooney. He's got he's Yale educated, but he's an English major, and he does a lot of stuff um, in the Washington Post and on and on and on. He's no dummy, but scientist, English major. So what do both sides agree on? Well, I think both sides would agree whether you're created or whether you evolved. What makes humans humans is our brain. And our brain, whether it was designed or evolved, is a tool used to think. And that's all I want you to do. I want you to always listen to both sides. I want you to always remember how I started this is when there was a controversy in one of my classes. I made one side study what they disagreed on, or everyone in the class, whatever you agreed on, learn the opponent's side as best as possible. Not so you can get into an argument, but so you can understand their side. Because the only way that we're going to get through any of this stuff is if we could listen to one another. We don't have to agree. We just have to start learning how to listen again and understanding both sides. And here's a line that my father-in-law always uses. He's a pretty bright guy. And he always looks at you if he disagrees and just says, that was interesting. And I hope you found this little brief PowerPoint interesting.